Hi, Jimmy the Butcher. Today I'm going to show you. Hi, Jimmy the Butcher. Today I'm going to show you how to grill this big porterhouse steak, this T-bone steak we'll call it, and we're going to be able to serve 4 people with it. But first of all, I want to talk briefly about my book. My book is out of print, but still available on Amazon as an ebook for $2.99. It's called The Butcher's Guide: An Insider's View to Buy the Best Meat and Save Money. And trust me, for $3, you can't go wrong. Alrighty, so now we're gonna trim this beautiful piece of meat. This is actually we would have sold this as a porterhouse steak back in the day, but I bought it as a T-bone steak because they rarely merchandise porterhouses anymore. And you can see it needs some help. It's dark on the other side because it was packaged. But this is the bottom side. I mean, look at this. Would you have bought that steak with that big kind of fat on the bottom? I don't think so. Just today's butchers are just not in the loop of what we used to do. So a couple of things about this beautiful piece of meat. The reason I chose it was because of the marbling. It's a top grade of choice beef. And it's 1.5 inches thick. And what we want to do is we're going to take it off the bone because the fillet, the tenderloin here, is very tender, but it cooks much more quickly than the New York side. So we're gonna take it off the bone. We're gonna cook it separately, and we're gonna reverse sear it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cook it at a low temperature and till it gets about 120 degrees, maybe a little more than that. And then we're gonna take it off, crank the grill up on high, and then we're gonna sear it off, and it's gonna be just beautiful. It's gonna be pink from edge to edge, and we won't overcook if you cook this whole thing the way it is, it's beautiful, and cut it off the bone at the table, you certainly could do that. But the tenderloin's gonna be overcooked, or this is not gonna be cooked the same. So that's the reason we're gonna do this differently. Obviously, this piece of meat needs some trimming, and in addition to the backside here. The first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut it off the bone, and this bone in the middle is kind of it's shaped like that. It's narrow on the edge and thicker in the middle. So when you cut it off the bone, you want to slide your knife as close to the bone as you can, and you want to kind of angle it so you get all the meat. And we're just going to come down and come around that. And there we have the fillet. We're going to turn it around, and you can see the bone here. We just want to get underneath behind that. Again, you can see my knife is tipped this way because the bone is slanted that way. If you just cut straight down, you're going to leave some meat on the bone. So what you want to do is we want everything we can get, and then just come over the end and down again, and we're there. So this bone, we're going to stick it out here. We're going to cook the bone because we're going to serve this as a bone-in steak. So we're going to start by trimming the New York, and we're just going to. There's not a lot to trim on the inside. Obviously, there's a little bit of darkness on the end. I'm going to cut that off. And then, if you notice, here there's a very thick piece of gristle. We want to remove that because you don't want to. I like to cook a steak that you can eat the whole steak. So we're gonna cut that off, just straight down. The knife I'm using, by the way, people always ask what kind of knife. This is a Forstner 6-inch curved boning knife. So we remove that, and we do like the fat because there's lots of flavor. So we're gonna trim it the way it should have been trimmed. That's my idea of a nicely trimmed steak. It has a nice even fat cover. So we'll do the same thing to the back side here. We'll take and we'll remove some of the fat and cut it down to where it looks pretty again. So we have our New York that's ready to go, and we'll throw that away. And then the fillet, really all we want to do with that is this silver skin. We want to remove that, and we're going to stick the knife blade underneath there, and we're just going to cut that silver skin off. Again, this will make it just much more tender and easier to eat. We could probably cut that little piece of fat off there because it's going to fall off anyway, so we'll do that. So there we have it. We have a nicely trimmed New York. We have a beautiful, ready to cook New York steak. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to season it. And to season it, I like to add a little, you can add anything, but I like to use a little olive oil. And the seasoning is really pretty simple. It's just salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic. And Again, what we're going to do, we'll take it out, we'll cut the video and take it outside, put it on the grill. We're going to cook it on a gas grill, indirectly at about 250 or less, and till it gets to be about 120 degrees, and we're going to take it off and crank the grill up, and then we'll sear it nicely, and then we'll put the bone on. We'll cook this bone, in case anybody likes to look at it, and then we'll slice the steak and put it back on the bone. So now we're just going to season it. What you want, you can have a very heavy hand when seasoning something to put on the grill. You want to get salt everywhere here, and we're actually going to season it again when we take it off the grill too. So make sure it's got a nice coating everywhere, and then we're going to add just a bit of granulated garlic, just a light coating there. Do the same thing to the other side here. And then a generous grind of fresh cracked black pepper. But what I like to do is put it around the steak as well. And then when you roll it over to do the other side, and kind of roll it through the extra seasoning. We're going to season this up. This steak has been sitting out for a while too, so it's already pre-temped, ready for the grill. It's been sitting out for about 40 minutes probably. I'm guessing it's probably about 50 degrees in internal temperature, which isn't a bad place to start. So again, we're going to do this, and we're going to crank some out here to roll it in around the steak. Yeah, and we're going to take that and just kind of coat it through all that stuff. And we'll catch the other side. And then we're going to, we've got a couple of thermometers. We're going to stick one in each steak. You could just put it in, if you only have one thermometer, put it in the fillet, and when it gets to 120 degrees, take it off. And then continue to cook the New York. And this is a remote thermometer, so I put another one when I get outside in the tenderloin. But I'm going to show you on the New York piece. I don't know if you've cooked a New York often enough, but this end, the tapered end always cooks much faster, so I always like to put the probe in this end, because this won't overcook if we do it that way. If you put it in the thicker end, the bigger end, by the time it's done, this is probably going to be a little past where you want it to be. So we'll meet you at the grill. This is a good example of why we cook these two pieces separately. The fillets at 120, we're about ready to take that off, but the New York is only at 115, so really tough to cook a perfect steak if you leave it together. There's our grill temp, just back exactly where we want it, just a little under 250. It's all indirect. The left two burners are off. I just have heat on the right side. We're going to stick the tenderloin right in there. We're going to stick the New York right next to it. We see our thermometers out there, and I was pretty close. It's 57 degrees when we're starting. And we're just going to throw the bone in the middle on there and just let it roast away. Close the grill, watch the temperature. When we get to 120, we'll be out here again. We're back. You notice on my little tray, I've got some potatoes and onions cooking and some beautiful oyster mushrooms and some creminis. And great way to stretch your meat is to cook a little extra mushroom to go with it. The grill's been turned on to high, and what we're going to do here is we're going to take this thing and stick it on there where it's nice and hot. See that sizzle? It's a nice sear on these. The bone looks good. You see the bone? So we'll continue doing this, and we'll meet you inside, and I'll show you how it serves up. Steak is off the grill. We're going to put a nice coating of butter on it, just regular unsalted, good fresh butter, and we're going to season it here with a little extra salt. There you go. Sorry about that. And give me a few cranks here, will you, dear? Get that fillet nice over there. Well, I can't see it, but it's under there, and it looks good. And we're gonna let this rest for about 5 minutes, and it's gonna be dinner. We're gonna make a salad. My favorite part, where we get to cut the meat and see how nicely we did. We've got this filet. Oh my gosh, is that perfect or what? Look at that. Is that gorgeous? Cooked the way a filet should be cooked. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We're just gonna slice this into serving size slices. And we're gonna take this, put it right here where the filet belongs. And we're gonna go for the New York here and see how that turned out. Oh my gosh, look at that. Can you see that, how beautiful that is? For me, it's beautiful. It's a nicely done, medium rare steak. Perfectly done. Let's see when we get down to the end here that we didn't overcook and it's still looking good. We're gonna slice it and then we'll shingle it out and show you what it looks like. Alrighty. I'm gonna stick this right there. And just to let you see where that went to, we put one up on top there. Isn't that gorgeous? And we have a little bit of the au jus and butter where we rested our steak, and we're just gonna drizzle that over the top. My golly. That looks pretty darn good. Try it. You'll enjoy it.